Tech Cocktail Conversations, candid insights from startup founders, entrepreneurs, and thought leaders from around the globe.
I'm Jeff Lawson, co-founder and CEO of Twilio. So at Twilio, our mission is to open the black box of telecom and make it so that software developers can build applications that use the phone network to make and receive phone calls or send and receive text messages. In a lot of ways, it's the fact that telecom has been around for 100 years and is so important to how we communicate and how we get business done, yet the ability to innovate has been locked up with really the hardware people of the world, right? And this very esoteric skill set, which is telecom, right? And so you get people like Cisco and Avaya and ShoreTel and these companies that build, fairly mediocre user experiences because they're hardware companies. Well, today, 2012, we're in a software world. Software is eating the world. We believe software is going to eat how we communicate as well. And we want to empower the software people of the world to invent the new ways in which we as businesses are going to communicate going forward. And so moving from a world of hardware to a world of software, our job is to be a platform and empower the software developers of the world to build those communications experiences. Every company is a little bit different in the unique challenges, the things that are great, the things that suck, the walls you run into. Every company is a little different. But certain things are probably fairly common. People say, growing the team, hiring great people, right? Yeah, that's always going to be hard. And that doesn't matter if you're a startup, you're a big company. Anyway, it's just hiring is inherently hard. It's making great judgment calls on people's character after meeting them for an hour in an interview setting, right? It's just, that's hard. That's always hard. There's a few common threads, I'd say, between all the companies that I've started. My first company was an academic community for college kids, then StubHub, then I created a bricks and mortar retailer, actually, and now I'm in communications. And a common thread for my companies, and I think for a lot of people's companies, is you're disrupting something that's already there. This word disruption is thrown around a lot, but you're sort of taking a market that's inefficient and using technology to make it more efficient, right? And that's what, in a lot of ways, us as technologists, us as technology entrepreneurs, that's what we're doing. And that's always hard because you obviously have forces who don't want that to happen. Because typically in these types of scenarios, there's people who win, i.e. you, and there's people who lose, i.e. the incumbents. And so that's always a struggle, right, of figuring out who your friends are, who your foes are, picking the right friends, the right enemies, and figuring out how to structure it in a way where you can best leverage what you do best, which is technology, against an existing market and essentially do something more efficient and more customer-centric than what's happened before. And that's sort of the common recipe of a lot of tech companies, and I found, for myself too, and that's not necessarily a hard thing, that's just a fact, but once you recognize that, you start to see some trends and some common threads that are both the pain points as well as the upside potential and why we do it. Well, the good news is, and I guess this is advice I would give for really any entrepreneur, which is you really have to understand your market, and you really have to passionately want the product you're building to exist because you would be the customer for it. So the good news for tech entrepreneurs, in particular the people who are developers by trade, which is if you're building an API, you are the customer for it, so you should have an internal gut feeling for what's good and what's bad, what's useful, what's not, what is the properties that you would look for personally if you were going to adopt a technology, and look at it through that lens. Be your own consumer is the most important thing. And what's great is, as a developer building such a platform, you are also the potential customer. And so always looking at it through that lens is what matters.